chocolate. It's the sweet obsession that captures hearts and dominates dessert menus worldwide. Yet, have you ever stopped to wonder exactly how this indulgence ends up in your hands? Some might imagine a simple journey from cocoa bean to candy bar, but the full story is much richer, and at times, far more unsettling. From ancient civilizations treating cocoa as a sacred elixir, to modern controversies shrouded in shadow, chocolate's path is anything but straightforward. For centuries, people have whispered about chocolate's mysterious powers. Some claim it's an aphrodisiac. Others tout its health benefits, while certain critics blame it for sugar overload. Somewhere along the way, a few shocking truths have also been revealed, like unethical labor practices and the hidden steps that transform a bitter bean into a silky treat. Delving into these secrets might change how you think about every chocolate bar you've ever unwrapped. So, if you've been craving more than just the taste of chocolate, prepare to uncover the deeper layers. We're about to journey into the very origins of this beloved indulgence, the delicate craft behind its production, and the controversies that continue to swirl around it. By the end, you might never look at a piece of chocolate the same way again. Chocolate's history begins thousands of years ago in the lush rainforests of Mesoamerica, where the Mayans and Aztecs regarded the cocoa bean as far more than a simple food source. For them, it was a symbol of power and a token of reverence. They sipped early forms of chocolate as a frothy drink, often spiced with chili peppers and other botanicals, to honor their gods and energize their warriors. Some ancient texts even hint at cocoa's role in sacred rituals, claiming it was an otherworldly gift bestowed upon humanity. These early civilizations didn't just love chocolate for its taste, though it had an enticing bitterness they seemed to crave. They believed it fueled the body and mind, perhaps even awakening hidden potentials. Aztec ruler Montezuma II was said to consume copious amounts of cocoa-based drinks daily, convinced it enhanced his stamina and prowess. Over time, cocoa beans took on monetary value, acting as a form of currency. Imagine being able to buy everyday essentials with just a handful of beans. It sounds like something out of a fantasy, but it was everyday life for these ancient cultures. Yet the story of chocolate wasn't all regal banquets and lavish ceremonies. Conquests, territorial expansions, and cultural clashes brought cocoa to new frontiers, setting the stage for a global obsession that would one day transform palates everywhere. But this treasured bean had a long journey ahead, one filled with innovation, exploitation, and secrets waiting to be exposed. But that wasn't the whole story. A single cocoa pod looks strangely alien to the uninitiated, almost like a small ridged melon dangling from the trunk or branches of the cocoa tree. Break one open, and you won't see anything resembling the chocolate we know and love. Instead, there's a sticky white pulp encasing dozens of seeds, our future cocoa beans. Harvesting these pods is a delicate process, typically done by hand with a sharp blade to avoid damaging the trunk. And here's where the first whispers of controversy begin. Many cocoa farms are located in regions with challenging economic conditions, sparking accusations that some producers might employ underpaid or even underage workers for the labor-intensive job of collecting pods. Once harvested, those slimy beans must go through a crucial step to develop the flavors we crave: fermentation. The sticky pulp is piled into containers or banana leaves, left to ferment for several days. During this time, natural yeasts and bacteria go to work on the sugary pulp, generating heat and transforming the bitter seeds into something that starts to resemble the complex taste of chocolate. It's a biological dance. Without fermentation, cocoa beans would never achieve their characteristic flavor profile. However, even at this stage, modern demand for chocolate has led some producers to speed up fermentation or skip it altogether in pursuit of higher yields, which can compromise taste quality. Certain companies have also faced scrutiny for not verifying where their beans come from, fueling speculation about possible unethical sourcing. Despite the simple, rustic nature of picking pods and allowing them to ferment, there's a wider backdrop of unseen labor issues, and what happens after fermentation might astonish you even more. After fermentation, the beans still bear the sticky remnants of pulp and an earthy aroma. To prepare them for the next stage, workers lay them out, often on large wooden tables or bamboo mats, to dry in the sun. This drying phase may seem unremarkable, but it's precisely where the flavor starts to develop further. Excess moisture evaporates, and complex chemical reactions quietly intensify the bean's essence. In many regions, this process is done outdoors, leaving the beans vulnerable to the elements. Heavy rains, inconsistent sunlight, or even stray animals can compromise an entire batch, adding to the unpredictability of cocoa farming. On large-scale plantations, drying sometimes involves artificial methods, like heated trays, so producers don't have to rely on the mercy of the weather. Critics argue that these shortcuts can mute the bean's complexity, resulting in flatter-tasting chocolate. Still, high-volume manufacturers often prefer speed and consistency, even if it means sacrificing artisanal quality. Then comes the roasting, a moment chocolate experts describe as both an art and a science. Roast temperatures and timings vary, each influencing flavor notes, ranging from fruity and floral to deep, smoky undertones. A slight miscalculation can turn promising beans into a charred disappointment. Big brands often keep their roasting secrets closely guarded, knowing a single tweak can drastically alter the end product. Meanwhile, small batch chocolatiers pride themselves on meticulously adjusting roasts to highlight distinct terroirs or cocoa varieties. Rumors have circulated about major producers employing extreme measures, like blending heavily roasted beans with subpar cocoa to mask off flavors. These tales may or may not be true, but they underscore a simmering tension between artisanal quality and mass market efficiency. But what happens after roasting is where chocolate truly takes shape and the controversies deepen. At this point, the roasted cocoa beans are ready to reveal their inner secrets. The outer shells are removed through a process called winnowing, leaving behind the coveted nibs, tiny fragments packed with flavor. These nibs then head into grinding machines, transforming into a thick, dark paste known as cocoa liquor. This is where the magic begins. Cocoa liquor is the foundation for every form of chocolate you've tasted, from baking chocolate to your favorite candy bar. But the journey doesn't stop there. Cocoa liquor is often pressed to separate the butter, the fatty component, from the solid cocoa mass. Cocoa butter is that luxurious element, giving chocolate its velvety melt-in-your-mouth texture, while the remaining solids get ground into cocoa powder. Both cocoa butter and powder might be recombined in different ratios, with sugar, milk, or other ingredients added, depending on the chocolate style. With industrialization, these steps have become streamlined, giving the world an abundant supply of affordable chocolate. Yet, modern convenience can sometimes cloak unsettling realities. Accusations surfaced about exploitative conditions in certain cocoa-producing regions, leading to high-profile controversies. Some major chocolate companies have been called out for allegedly sourcing beans without confirming ethical labor practices. Despite pledges to improve, critics claim these efforts are half-hearted or designed for positive PR rather than genuine reform. Behind every silky bar or decorative truffle lies a complex network of farmers, traders, and corporate giants. And whenever there's a high demand for profit, oversight can slip through the cracks. As consumers savor sweet treats, few realize the bitter undertones that might still linger from unethical production. Yet, the industrial boom didn't just change how chocolate was made, it changed who controlled it. And that's where things get truly intriguing. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw chocolate morph from a niche luxury into a mainstream phenomenon. Technological advances like new grinding and conching machines made mass production possible. Suddenly, chocolate bars, once the sole domain of the elite, were popping up in local shops, marketed as affordable treats for everyone. Global brands capitalized on this boom, vying to outdo one another with inventive marketing claims. Some declared their bars were health tonics, while others sold them as symbols of comfort and nostalgia. As the market expanded, enormous companies rose to dominate the industry. Names like Hershey, Nestle, and Mars became synonymous with chocolate in the public mind. They invested in sprawling supply chains, establishing long-term contracts with farmers and traders worldwide. But these expansion efforts weren't without controversy. Documents periodically surfaced, suggesting that certain cocoa-growing regions still faced unresolved labor issues. Some watchers insisted that the big chocolate giants, in their quest to keep prices competitive, overlooked questionable practices on the ground. On the flip side, these corporations also introduced innovations that brought chocolate to places it had never been before, making it a universal pleasure. And the marketing didn't stop at accessibility. Emotive advertisements turned chocolate into a gift for lovers, a mood booster, even a survival ration for soldiers in wartime. Over time, a global mythology emerged around chocolate as an indispensable part of everyday life, whether it's a quick pick-me-up or a token of affection. Still, the question remains, if the supply chain is so vast and profitable, why do controversies persist? Some suggest it's a direct result of the industry's complexity. Countless intermediaries, far-flung farms, and fluctuating commodity prices create an environment where exploitation can hide. Others argue that a lack of consistent enforcement or transparent policies by major corporations is to blame. But the story of chocolate isn't just about big business and alleged misdeeds. It also touches on our personal lives, especially the debate over chocolate's health impacts. Walk down any grocery aisle, and you're likely to see chocolates labeled with claims about antioxidants, mood enhancement, and superfood benefits. Indeed, cocoa beans contain compounds that researchers have studied for their potential health perks, like flavonols, which might promote heart health. Dark chocolate in particular often gets touted as a guilt-free indulgence, provided you stick to varieties containing a high percentage of cocoa. But is chocolate genuinely a miracle food, or is it just marketing hype? Scientists remain divided. While some point to carefully controlled studies suggesting that moderate dark chocolate consumption can support cardiovascular function, skeptics warn that many brands are loaded with sugar and fat, overshadowing any benefits. Moreover, the cocoa used in many mass-market bars may not have the same concentration of beneficial compounds as artisanal or minimally processed chocolate. Then there are the rumors that never die. Chocolate as an aphrodisiac, a mood lifter, even a stress reliever. Though cocoa does contain stimulants like theobromine and trace amounts of caffeine, the euphoric boost many people feel may be partly psychological. We associate chocolate with pleasure, celebration, and reward, so eating it often triggers positive emotions. Still, sensational stories pop up occasionally, like speculation that entire populations could become addicted to chocolate's chemical properties. Though addiction might be an overstatement, there's little doubt that chocolate can feel irresistible. Food psychologists suggest that the blend of sugar and fat can hit our taste buds in just the right way, sparking that must-have more impulse. In the midst of these debates, one truth stands out. Chocolate, especially in its purer forms, can offer notable nutritional benefits. But the commercial chocolate we typically devour is often far from pure. So, the next time someone insists chocolate is nature's perfect health solution, remember that moderation and quality matter just as much as taste. Ultimately, chocolate's story spans cultures, industries, and centuries. Now that we've unearthed its origins, processes, and controversies, how do we reconcile our love for it with the truths behind every bar? Chocolate's journey is a remarkable blend of ancient traditions, complex chemistry, industrial might, and ethical dilemmas. From the sacred significance it once held among the Maya and Aztecs to the global behemoth it has become, every stage of chocolate making hides layers of intrigue. The fermentation that sparks its signature flavor, the roasting that unlocks its aromatic magic, and the conching that perfects its silky texture all play their part in creating the treat we know and crave. But there's a darker side too: accusations of unfair labor, hidden supply chain shortcuts, and health debates that never seem to reach a final verdict. As we peel back each layer, we see that chocolate is both a joyful indulgence and a mirror reflecting global inequalities and our own thirst for pleasure. Despite the controversies, chocolate remains at the center of many cultural moments, exchanged on romantic holidays, used in celebrations, or simply enjoyed as a guilty pleasure after a tough day. So, the next time you open a candy bar, remember the winding path it traveled. From a humble pod in a tropical orchard, through fermentation, drying, roasting, and the careful hands of countless workers. The story behind that silky square is bigger than just sweetness. It's a testament to human ingenuity and, at times, human oversight. Could we reshape how it's grown, sourced, and savored to honor both taste and conscience? That final question lingers long after the last piece melts on your tongue.